Uh, I want to start talking about 91 write-ups.
Yes, sir.
It's a lot.
Yes, sir.
What happened in 2014?
2014, sir. Still not prepared to take accountability for myself. Still not.
Well, the reason I asked that question is that was your last write-up in 2014. So,
If you don't mind, may I correct the record? My last write-up actually was January of 2018. For aggravated work offense and a defiance situation. I'll explain to you briefly. At the time, I was a tier walker at Camp D. There were buildings at Camp J that were at the time beginning to become dilapidated. I actually didn't think that the environment I was going in was conducive to what I was trying to gain here, and that was parole eligibility. Unfortunately, we had some offenders who were able to shimmy their doors, get out of the cells, and sometimes they attacked the people that were there. We were the tier walkers there, and what our jobs was to watch the offenders who were mental health patients. I expressed my concerns to one of the security officers. At that time, he wasn't ready to move me from that particular location, and I did the next thing that I thought was best to remove me from that situation so I wouldn't be in front of the board trying to explain why I had to write up 13 months out or 17 months out. And I sought mental health to place me under mental health watch to get me out of the position of watching the prisoners at Camp J. I didn't want to get in any type of physical confrontations, and I did what I thought was best at that time. So that was my last write-up, Mr. Jones.
so you pursued mental treatment.
I pursued the ability to have mental health remove me from the environment that I was in based on the fact that I'd already gone to security to ask them to remove me from it.
And it was mental health remove you from that position?
Yes, sir, they actually did. Yes, sir.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that there's a protocol that explains for any offender who has sought any type of a mental health recommendation or counseling from mental health department that they could not become tier walkers or stay or remain tier walkers to watch over other offenders themselves.
Okay, so what problem did you tell mental health you had?
I had just came from off a visit, and I told him that I was really concerned about being in an environment that would allow me to be or put myself in harm's way. I didn't want to do anything to any other offender, nor did I want any other offender to do anything to me. And I was looking forward to this particular day, coming in front of the parole board, having an opportunity.
Mr. Green, I get your motivation. I understand all that.
Okay.
And I understand your strategy.
Yes, sir.
But I'm curious about how you got mental health to accept you as a patient, which prevented you from being a tier walker there.
I think that more or less the expression of duress and not want to be in that position anymore and concern for my own safety was enough for the mental health department to make the determination of remove me from it.
Did you receive any counseling?
Yes, sir. There were follow-up counseling sessions thereafter. Yes, sir, there were, Mr. Jones.
Tell me what programs you've completed and which of them are most important to you.
I think that one of the most important programs that I've participated in possibly would be Thinking for a Change. The reason that I didn't say gaining my GED first is because I think that to turn the corner to become the individual that I needed to become, I needed to change my mindset. And that was something that I took to heart. And I wanted to be a better person. The educational aspects of everything that I've done so far as GED, semester of NOBTS, the different trades that I've taken, they are to help me in the future, but I had to get to the point of understanding who I needed to be to gain access to the future first. So I think Thinking for a Change was really dynamic for me. It was something that was monumental in my life, and it's something that helped me change my mindset.
When did you take Thinking for a Change?
If I am correct, I think that I took Thinking for a Change in either the end of 2017 or the beginning of 2018. I started it. I might off a couple of months here and there.
When did you get your GED?
I received my GED approximately a year and a half after I was in Angola. I want to say sometime in either 96 or maybe 97.
Yeah, I misunderstood what you said. I thought you said thinking for a change caused you to have the ambition to get your GED, but you'd already done that.
Yes, sir. I'd already got my GED.
All right. I just misunderstood. Warden Vinoy.
Sir.
You there? What can you tell us about Mr. Green?
Well, you kind of went through everything, Mr. Jones. His last write-up was for defiance and a work offense, but he hadn't had anything since then. You kind of went through all of his program. I don't really have anything else I could add.
All right. Thank you, Warden. Mr. Green, tell me about what trades you've learned.
I am a certified brick mason. I'm also certified in telecommunications and fiber optic installations due to Department of Corrections allowing that program to be installed here. I have experienced 3 years in welding, and I'm also experienced with cooking. The last trade that I was attempting to get, unfortunately, COVID impacted the prison. They had started a truck driving school, hadn't opened yet, but I talked to Mr. John Easley about possibly participating in it. And he told me if I wasn't able to do it, then I should be able to seek it once I get into society, maybe BRCC or something like that, that would afford me the opportunity.
Okay. To save me looking at the record, how long have you been locked up?
I've been locked up 26 years, sir.
26?
Yes, sir.
How old are you?
I am now 44.
How old were you when you came there?
I was 18 when I actually stepped on Angola's premises. I was 17 at the commission of my crime.
Okay. So what would you propose to do for a living if you were released on parole?
I actually have been accepted with One Touch Ministries, Miss Verna Bradley Jackson in Baton Rouge. She has resources that will help me to gain gainful employment. I'm also in the process of becoming an assistant pastor. One of my supporters that is here with us is Pastor Randall of the Covenant Ministries. I will be a minister on her staff, and I just will have to put in the necessary time and effort to, I guess you can say, climb into the ranks of where I'm supposed to be pastoral. I'll be the assistant pastor of that church as well. Mr. John Esteen, who is also a part of the meeting today, he has just started a business himself, and he's asked me to partner up with him. So there are many different opportunities and available options for me to actually participate in, Mr. Jones.
Out of order, Mr. Esteen?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm good. Weren't you before the board not long ago?
Yes, sir. I was.
And I was on the board, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You were.
All right. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't seeing things.
Yes, sir.
That's all the questions I have.
Mr. Marabella?
Mr. Green, my name is Tony Marabella. I've got a couple of questions for you.
Yes, sir.
When did you first start using drugs?
Oh, Jesus. 1989. I was 13.
And what kind of drugs were you using?
I started out with marijuana, and it went from marijuana to powdered cocaine.
What have you learned? What sort of tools do you have today that would convince me that if I voted to parole you, you wouldn't go back to using drugs?
Well, the first thing is, one, my want to change my mindset. I haven't used drugs since I've been incarcerated. I don't want to say this like this, but I would do it to give you an idea of who I am. If you look into my record, I have no intoxications in Angola, in LSP. I've never failed a urinalysis test. I've never been placed under disciplinary sanctions for any type of marijuana, cocaine, heroin, anything like that. Sir, and this is just me in all honesty. I wanted to do better. Drugs was not going to get me to where I wanted to be. It wasn't going to happen. Drugs got me in the position that I am currently in. And I had to understand that in order for me to get to the next level of where I wanted to go in life, there were things that I was going to have to cut loose. So the assurance that I give you is the same way that my record does not reflect. Matter of fact, no cell phones, no knives, no type of contraband in that regard with drugs, no intoxications. It's the same person that I will be when you grant me, or if you decide to grant me your vote favorably to allow me to be placed back into society. I'm not.
Mr. Green, I hear you and I appreciate what you're saying, but you are in a very structured environment. Certainly you can use drugs while you're in prison, and I understand that. But being in prison and being on the outside are two different things. What tools have you learned, or what tools do you have in your toolbox that can convince me that you're not going to go back to that lifestyle?
Again, one, I have no desires for, but two, the programming that I received, it gives us so many different avenues to be able to use them. The tools that you are asking about, when
Tell me about it. Give me
Okay.
some specific tools.
When you're talking about compassion cultivation class, and when you're talking about thinking for a change, you come to understand that these self-medicated things that are there for your disposal, they're only there temporarily to help coat over a situation.
Let me stop you.
Okay.
I understand the dynamics of drugs and what they do to you. What tools do you have when you get out and you find yourself in a position where somebody's got something that you might not be able to resist? How are you going to resist those things? What tools do you have?
Okay,
What
misunderstood your question.
mechanisms are you going to put in place to make sure those things don't happen to you?
Okay, well, I'm understanding your question a little bit better now. Well, I have a strong support system and a strong support team. Again, I have no desires for drugs. God is first and foremost my greatest tool. I, again, haven't had any type of a desire to even remotely think about using drugs. It was a point when I didn't have anything else to turn to that I did. Here in this structured environment, true, it's a bit structured, but there's still drugs here.
Understand.
And I could, on any given day, decide that I want to use Mojo. I want to smoke marijuana. I want to try to use cocaine. That's not what I desire. So the support team that I have around me, those who are going to help me and enable me to do the things that I need to do, that is enough for me. Those tools are enough for me to keep my focus and stay away from anything illicit like that.
Do you go to AA meetings or NA meetings?
I've actually taken a substance abuse class, and I'm certified from it, and I understand that from the aspect of what I've learned in this class. Basically, you know that once you start going down that rabbit hole, it's a challenge to try to get back out of it. So you don't want to tempt yourself to put yourself in that position. That is something that I stay clean away from. And that's the reason I haven't used it since I've been incarcerated.
What about your sex offender treatment? Tell me what, if anything, you've learned from that.
Oh, everything. 27 steps, ROCO scale, the classifications of sex crimes. I was very, very serious about that. I wish Mr. Van was here, but unfortunately he's not at the time. After I graduated from the class, I actually became a facilitator. Every step of it, I took it very personally. The reason that I took it very personally is because as a child, I made the most stupidest decision I've ever made in my life. As a man, I came to understand that you have to take accountability and hold yourself responsible for the things that you do in life. learning what I learned in the risk management program is something that now I can teach other people. And I am very adamant about doing it. I've spoken about this on countless occasions. So if you want to go through all 27 of the steps, I can give them to you right now, verbatim. If you want to go through the ROCO scale, I can give that to you. If you want to go through the criminal aspects of it, I know it. And I took it to heart because in this day and age, accountability is something that we need to have. I really feel that in my heart. And I want other guys or women that I come in contact with to know that. So overall, what it's taught me, respect, honor people, the moral compass, knowing that when someone says no, no means no. You don't go against it.
What would you say to me that I should give you the opportunity? Why should I grant you the opportunity for parole based upon the seriousness of your offenses and what you've done? How can I be sure that you're not going to repeat these things?
To answer that question, sir, thank you for asking it. I've tried to place together not just a body of work, just so you can see it in documentation, but I've actually put this in my mind and in my heart. But the body of work was instrumental in what I wanted to do. I wanted to do it because I wanted to become a better person. I wanted to show that this process actually works, the rehabilitative process. So everything that I could possibly take that would give me the opportunity to show this to you today, I did it. I did it because I knew that I wanted to be more. So the programming, it works. I would just ask you to continue to have faith that the Department of Corrections got it right when they put these educational programs in place, when they put the vocational programs in place, when they put the therapeutic programs in place, and when people, the prisoners here, started to apply themselves and wanted to gain it, then the result becomes me. It actually becomes me. It becomes a person that wants to be an asset to society, no longer a liability. It's also a Mr. John Epstein or Mr. Bobby Wallace, or those who have taken to heart and know that I committed an offense. This crime is mine. I own it. I will not do this again. I will not be the same person that I was when I got here.
All right, thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Green,
Yes, sir.
tell me again what you're currently doing at the prison. What kind of work are you doing?
I just graduated from brick masonry on the compound vocational school. I just graduated from that. I came back into Maine prisons population, and now I'm a janitor, and I'm also a cook, a food runner, and a accountant, and what they call it, a receptionist at one of the prison clubs or concessions that we have here at Men of Hope. So I work in what we call a restaurant, I guess you would say. Also clean up around the area and the dormitory areas, on the walk areas, and other areas that need it. Just try to make myself as accessible as possible and help as much as I possibly can.
Sounds like you do have, you do a lot of things. You're not able to do any maintenance work there with the maintenance crew or anything there?
Unfortunately, I don't have any maintenance skills, sir. Like I said, I can build homes, fireplaces, patios, and I can actually install telecommunication services.
Well, tell me again. We'll go back, and I hear what you're saying, and you've done a lot of work, and you've definitely taken a lot of programs and done a lot of things. I am a little concerned. As long as you've been down 26 years, that in 15 you had a 21E. That's kind of concerning to me. Can you tell me about that? You've been in there long enough to know, and that's a significant rule violation there. Tell me about that.
21E, sir. Me in an area where I can be seen. It wasn't intentional. However, the officer saw me. When you don't put first the thought of what happens if I do this, and you're still reckless and you're aimless and you're not taking account for what you're supposed to do, and you don't give consideration to it first, 21 E's and that situation that you see in 15 or what happened. It was just me being boneheaded. I'm in an area and I should have thought about what I was doing before I done it. I didn't think that the person would pass by and be able to like really look at me and see me, but I was in a place where I could be seen. So that was my fault. After that, you see that there were no more of those because I had to take accountability and say, Reginald, that's yours. You have to own that. You can't do anything else except for say that's your fault. I'm not putting it on anybody else. That was my fault.
Right. No, that's definitely your fault. I mean, I would agree with that.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's nobody else's fault. But again, I guess, hey, that's concerning with your current charge, what you're in for. That's concerning to me. Also the work offense, the defiance back in 2018, and I heard your reasoning, but I'm just telling you where I am. Those are concerning to me. As long as you've been down, I mean, you're a smart guy. I mean, we can hear you speak. Very smart guy. You've done a lot of work, but you would definitely know better than those things. So those are things that I'm kind of grappling with, and I'll continue to look at with the entirety of your jacket. Now we'll go ahead and speak to some folks in support. Guess we'll keep it to 10 minutes. We'll go with Mr. Esteem. You want to go with Mr. John Esteem first? Can you hear me, Mr. John?
Yes, sir. How you doing, sir?
Good, great. Just go ahead and introduce yourself and give us a
Okay.
little information.
Okay, my name is John Esteem. I'm a former inmate there in Angola. I did over 20 years. I had diligently worked my way out of 150-year sentence. Now that I'm home, I've been working ever since. I got to say, like the brother, Mr. Green said, the rehabilitative program does work. And I'm thankful to enter them while I was at Angola, and Angola was a good place for me. A lot of people might not want to understand why I say that. It's because I was able to sit down and really take self-inventory and find out who John Esteem truly is. So once that process began, and once I came to find out who I am after I went through my program, especially Bible college, which I really love that, and it's still part of my life today. All I can see is not what's going forward, instead of what's behind me. So that's important too, is try not to look behind you, because these things are past unless you have an issue that you have in the past. So other than that, the rehabilitation programs are great. Now, other than me working, I have started a nonprofit organization, E&E Second Wind. And the purpose of this a company is to help those coming home from being incarcerated to make a smooth transition back into society, to keep the streets safe for everyone, and to lower the recidivism rate, sir. And I think that's a well-needed thing. And how we do that is through education, help these guys with transportation, back and forth, their appointments, jobs. If someone have no money taken out their pocket, we try and make it least costly to them. And also mental health services. They need mental health. People need especially even when I came home, 20 years in the penitentiary, I think you need a little counseling. I think anybody can agree to that, sir. That's me. That's who I am. That's what I'm doing today, sir.
All right. Good, thank you. You're here for support. All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Let's go with I guess the pastor next. With that.
Sure, appreciate that. My name is Len Vandenboss. I'm the team chaplain for the Buffalo Bills. Worked at a large church outside of Chicago for 25 years. In 2009, I started visiting Angola prison, and we go at least once a year for whatever that is, last 11, 12 years. We host a ministry event, a 3-day ministry event, to support really the ministers in the church inside of Angola. I met Reggie probably 5 years ago. He has been a faithful friend. I have seen tremendous growth as I've gotten to know him. We correspond monthly, if not more than once a month. I help keep him accountable in what he's doing, what he's studying, and the fellowship that he's in. And I would put all my hope in what Christ has done in Reggie's heart. I know he's done a lot of work, and I'm sure learned a lot of lessons where he is. I know hundreds and hundreds of inmates in Angola, and he has been a faithful friend. And every time we are there, he is there in the front row, learning, asking questions. So I can put all my hope in what I've seen God has done in his heart, as well as the fellowship and the support he has of other men inside of Angola. And I would believe to the core of my being that his only hope going forward is a great hope, and that's in what Christ has done, and that he has continued a commitment to fellowship, accountability outside, just like he has on the inside. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you men today. And
Thank you so much. All right, we have one more speaker, Ms. Broussard. Is she here to speak? No, I don't see her. Okay, we'll go to Mr. Scott Benson. We need to put
Today,
some mute on.
participating in the call is Ms. Adele Krieger. Just a few comments to the board. The nature of the offense, members of the board, causes me some serious concern, and not only the nature of the offense, there's a certain element of just cold outright manipulation. You know, Mr. Green meets ZD, the victim. He gets her telephone number and quickly calls her up and comes and visits her and says, "Is it okay if I, stay here tonight?" And she's helps him out in that regard. Then as the night progresses, he kind of approaches her and asks her 2 or 3 times if he can kiss her. He asks her for a kiss. And finally, when she doesn't kiss him, he pulls out a knife, puts it to her throat, and proceeds to forcibly rape her. And when he's finished, he says, "Maybe if you would have given me a kiss, this would not have happened." There's a certain level of manipulation there that goes beyond a simple crime, and it goes beyond what incarceration, can cure, and something that's ingrained in this gentleman. And we hear about his losing his status as a trustee, as a tier watcher, getting the mental health department involved. And I'm not so sure that 2018 event is not another scenario where he's gaming the system, and all the right courses and time in jail is not going to change or fix that. So I don't think his jail term has cured him of his ills, as the simple summary of that. I'd also point out to the board that according to the PPI, in case number 373172, he has a simple escape charge. Not the kind of guy I'd want to release from prison, but anyway, based on those comments, the district attorney's office would vigorously oppose his request.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Green, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
Yes, sir, I would. First and foremost, I want to thank the board for giving me this opportunity today to be before you all. The board has given me the opportunity to be accountable, to hold myself responsible, to apologize to Ms. Dentz and to her family, to my family and the community, and to the state of Louisiana for the crime of aggravated rape that I committed on December the 27th, 1993. At that time, sir, I was a 17-year-old child, and I don't want to use that as a crutch, but I was a child who made bad decisions. I had influences that were not the type of people that I should have been around. The board doesn't know it because it's not in my record, but at the time I came up as an orphan. I was actually a victim of sexual assault, verbal abuse, physical abuse as a child. The things that I have attempted to do was because I understood that I was stupid. I was immature. I was in need of correction. And as Mr. Estein said, and this is a real regard, me coming to Angola was the thing that corrected me. The corrections process, the rehabilitation process, it is what gave me the opportunity to see that I needed to be something more. This particular day, the only thing that I can ask the board for is its mercy and their faith that upon releasing me, I will not be someone who be a recidivist inside of the penal institutions ever again. That I will be someone that you can speak to at church or see at a neighborhood grocery store and not worry about whether or not I will harm another individual in my life. The criminal element, it no longer has not a thought, but a place in me. I no longer think criminalistically. And the programs that I have taken advantage of are for the purpose solely of making sure that when the board gives me the opportunity, I do right by the board, that it's not later in life thought, wow, I gave him a chance and he messed it up. He was a bonehead. He screwed it up horribly. That won't be me, sir. So I thank you again for your time. I ask you for your mercy. That's the only thing that I can ask for. I'm not obligated for anything, and I understand that this is an opportunity that I have to put my best foot forward. And throughout the 26-year period of time, it has helped me grow.
All right.
So I thank you. I thank the board for being here today, and I thank you all for giving me this opportunity to speak to you all.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion for executive session.
Got a motion for executive session. And a second, roll call, please.
Second,
Got a second and a roll call, please.
Mr. Mirabella,
yes.
Mr. Kelsey,
Yes,
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
we'll be back going to discuss confidential information.
Okay, we'll skip ahead because this is actually about a 3-minute wait. What do you think they're gonna do? Well, let's go.
Madam President, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Green, you have an interesting case. You're an interesting man, obviously smart. And I have no doubt that you've come an awful long way. You came from a tough start, and I don't discount that. I had it easy coming up. You know, both my parents were around, and my dad made a decent living. I was expected to go to school. I went to school. It was easy. I didn't face any challenges like that. Why our world works like that, I don't know. But it didn't work well for you. I know that. And you've made terrific progress. That being said, I have at least 2 issues. One is that right up in 2018, which you kind of admitted you intentionally got to game the system. And that just bothers the daylights out of me. Because it's not the way honest men do things. Honest men go forward and do things without lying to people about it. Because in order to do what you did, you had to lie. And you did. And now you look back and you're proud of what you did. And that just troubles me immensely. The second thing is that when you were listening to Mr. Mirabella, his questions, and he gave you more chances than I would have. He gave you every chance in the world to explain to him, based on all the courses you've taken, all the programs you've had, some mechanism you're going to use to stay clean and sober. And you never gave him anything. And it is possible to stay clean and sober through your church if you make that program part of the church experience. The only proven program of success in treatment of drugs and alcoholism is Alcoholics Anonymous, where alcoholics and drug addicts meet and support other alcoholics and drug addicts and advise them on how to succeed and get by. And that never crossed your lips. I know you've been exposed to 12-step programs in these courses, and that and it had no effect on you. So my vote today is to deny your parole. I have unsolicited advice for you because you're going to come up again. My advice to you is put your hands on the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. The title of it is Alcoholics Anonymous, and read it. It's some of the language in it's kind of old-fashioned, originally written in the 30s, but read it and understand it, and then read it again and try to understand it again, because it is a way. It provides you with a way to stay sober, but better than that, if you work the 12 steps, it provides for you a way to live a good, honest life. Not trying to misrepresent things so that people give you what you want. A good, honest life. And when you're wrong, you admit it. So that's my recommendation to you. My vote, unfortunately, is to deny your parole.
Mr. Marabella.
Mr. Green, I have to echo what Mr. Jones said. It was very difficult trying to ask you a question about the tools that you have learned to keep off drugs. I don't know whether you were aware of this or not, but I presided over a drug court for 14 years. And I heard your little spiel, I can't tell you how many times, from people who really just didn't get it. I don't know whether you just didn't get it or you just had a spiel that you wanted to put together and just say and keep sticking to the script. I'm not sure. I wasn't convinced that you have the tools to be able to do that. I do want to reiterate again, though, what Mr. Jones said. You've come a long way. You've done a lot of positive things while you've been in prison. I am very concerned about this incident that occurred in 2018. And I'm also very concerned about the mental evaluation that we received from in January of this year that describes you as a person who tends to ignore boundaries and perhaps has inappropriate behavior with female staff members. I'm concerned about those things, especially in light of the fact that you're in prison for rape. Does that mean that you should give up and not come back for parole? No. But I think the next time that you come up, you need to be prepared to answer those questions. It is also my vote to deny your parole.
All right, you have 2 votes to deny your parole. Also, I'm going to vote to deny your parole, law enforcement opposition for disciplinary record, and you have DA opposition. So you have 3 votes to deny your parole. Today, your parole's been denied. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, I have to say that I wish I could add more context to this. There's no information available on the case, or I would, but I do want to say thankfully, we haven't seen this assistant DA that he showed up. He told the story, because otherwise we would have no idea really what it was that he had, why we were even there. And he had gotten a life sentence. You know, it was a different time. They were actually handing out life sentences instead of 5, 6, 7, 10-year sentences. Maybe his biggest mistake was doing it to an adult and not a child. Maybe he would have gotten just a slap on the wrist if it was a child. And I'm not saying that sarcastically. It's just it's hard for me to truly understand. But I do think that when he was answering and he couldn't answer the questions correctly about how he would stay sober, I said, wow, this is not going well. And you would think that after all these years, especially with his friend getting out before him, and maybe his friend had a different board, because I mean, not Mr. Marabella at least, because you think he would have known how to answer those questions. And he didn't. He had no clue. And that's really what they harped on. But they brought up some other points. And Keith Jones. So Keith Jones, I think there's a lot of you listening who would say, whoa, like, I think he said that it's the only known program to be effective against like sobriety, which is AA. And I think there would be a lot of people that would object to that statement. I don't know enough about the different programs, but anytime anything is said in absolutes, like it's the only, you know that there's going to be objection to it, and rightfully so, in my opinion. I think he's, Mr. Marabella, often we can hear him talk about a friend. Also, I think Pete Freeman, who says, I still have a friend today who's been sober for 27 years and goes, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is the friend they're talking about, but it's pure speculation, as in Keith being the one who attends himself. I like what Keith said. It was, he said, look, you came from a hard life, and he had that type of empathy, and he brought that in, but then he brought back to the idea that you tried to manipulate the board earlier. You had that write-up. If you're curious about what that write-up was, I think it is, it's a sex offense write-up, and I think it's doing your thing, and you're not allowed to do your thing, right? So it wasn't like he was doing something to someone else. It wasn't like a violent offense, right? But I thought they were spot on about the whole manipulation thing. Now, some people might say, hey, he was 17 years old when he did this, and he's been locked up for so long, 26 years. And he has the 91 write-ups, which makes him different. He's not like a typical offender that we see in here. It's different in terms of it's not like a roach thing. It's different than that. Roaches don't have write-ups, and his other friend had a 150-year sentence. It is to me, it's concerning to hear that they want to go to ministry. That's just always, to me, it's like it should be something like you can't teach kids and you can't go to ministry. Like, I think that should be part of the rules, because it just seems like a perfect place to set up your base camp and be a place of power and reoffend. But that's not a rule they have in place. We haven't seen him come back. When we do, we'll put the hearings together. And but he's, according to his records, he's still locked up. And we will notify you. Well, we'll put up a second hearing, and that's my dryer. So with that, I'll let you go.